I think, almost everything that I was going to do. The thing that I did change is because it's not going to be too visible simply because we're using that matching thread. As I was originally going to do was go into the flying geese necks, but very quickly what I'm going to do is switch gears first. So I've locked my stitches. I'm all set. I'm going to line up my ruler. Got my 45-degree line. Up, back, repeating the same process that we just did. And get rid of the majority of my tail. I can't stand the tails. Head over to my target. Line it up. 45-degree line, lined up right on my seam. I double check the second line just like before. Stitch. Line it up. Get my 45-degree up. I check my second line, all is well. Stitch, target, pivot, line it up, check both lines. Stitch, target, overshot a little, pivot, and continue all the way over towards the middle, and then I'll show you how I'm going to treat those chevrons right in the middle. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit my center target there. So I'm going to ditch over, line that up. And this time around it almost hits exactly where it would have hit had I have measured. Again, it's why I'm airing this particular treatment from the edge to the center, so that my oddball will be in the center and it looks like it's an intentional part of the design. So I'm going to line that up, get my 45-degree in line, head up, And then I could come down and back up. And there what I see is how far I've come. And so I've come 1, 2, 3/4 of an inch width on that last oddball. So what I'm going to do now for the center is I'm going to flip my ruler over. I'm going to grab some red tape. I'm going to put some red tape on the half mark, and then I'm going to go to 3/4 of an inch so that center matches up. So now I'm at the top. I'm going to ditch the top, slide in, line up my ruler to where I have my tape going. I've got my chalk line in the center so I know where to pivot from. So I'm going to come down, pause, pivot, line up, up, ditch, now there are a ton of different things that you can do. Well, that ended up perfect without even thinking about it. Right there in the middle here to make this work. Lots of different designs. I could have left a V shape and put maybe a lotus feather. I could have put some sort of design in there. You know, there's, again, the options truly are endless. But on this particular quilt, just to kind of highlight this particular border type panel, I'm going to go ahead, go 2 more stitches in, line that up, go to my chalk line, stop, pivot, line it up, good, I like that. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to lock my stitches. And now, the other thing that I'm going to do is something that I suggest to everybody, and that is, just give me a second here. One of the most useful tools that you will have in your quilt room is your phone. And what I'm going to do is I would go to my camera right there in the center, because this is the top border and God only knows how long it's going to take before you get down to the bottom border. But I would take a little bit of a video of exactly what you did on the top here, so that way when you get down to the bottom you'll know. And you can kind of verbally walk your way through. So for example, I've got it on record. Okay, so on this particular border, what I did is I located the center, and I'm using my phone, talking my way through it. I measured from here 1.5 inches all the way in. I located my center, put a line there. I actually did quilt down the oddball right to the middle, and then I went up on the 45 to the 3/4 inch line, which almost made it then 1 inch quilted, because we have to take into account your 1/4 inch hopping foot. So I did that all the way up to do the inner chevrons. Stop my recorder. I know exactly what I did now, and now I can continue down this quilt, and I don't have to worry about getting to the bottom and wondering, what did I do? Okay, so the next part we're going to do is we're going to start here, and we're going to ditch up and around on this side of that green sash and down. And what I'm going to do is, on the way around, when I get to here, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to come down, over, and square back around and continue to here, come down, ditch that cornerstone, come back around, and ditch down as far as I can within that throat space. And then we're going to come into this square, and I'm going to do crosshatch. Now I believe I'm going to go ahead and do straight crosshatch because we've done chevron 45 here, so I kind of want to offset that with something different each time, just so it doesn't interfere with the look of the 45 degree. And if I did 45 degree here and it didn't line up exactly, then we'd probably run into some visual issue. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do straight crosshatch in here. And the reason I'm doing that is to highlight this beautiful fabric. Now we're going to do some different type of stuff when we get down to these picture frame type blocks in this panel. But with this one, it's simply going to be a crosshatch because I don't want to detract from the print of the fabric, but I also don't need to go in and frame anything. There is not any specific areas. It's not like this that's cut specific or it's printed specific. With this, it's more of a plain fabric that's used and cut out and placed in there without any medallion type of area. Okay, so I've got my 12 stitches per inch set up. I've got my precision stitch regulator on rather than my cruise stitch regulator. And I'm going to start up. And if I'm going to err on this ditch, then I will err to the green because that thread matches that pretty darn close, and I am not using invisible thread for this section. I'm actually using a matching thread because I'm going to go in here and when I do my crosshatch, it's going to be in that same color thread. Very rarely will I ever use an invisible thread to go inside or outside of a ditch. And so I want to use this matching color thread so that when I travel back and forth with the crosshatch, as you will see, it will look appropriate. Okay, so I went a little further. Notice that what I did, I went just a little bit further here, and then I came back, and now I'm going to come around and go around that square. So we have that done, and now I could make a decision right now to go ahead and complete the crosshatch here in that block, and actually I think I might go ahead and do that, but I wanted to wait until I got the block stabilized first. So what I've done, but let me go through with you what I did, was in this block, which I measured, and it is 6 inches square, is I've lined it up and I've simply gone in about 1/4 of an inch and I put a blue line. I tried the chalk and the chalk didn't blend enough. It was too blendy in there. And so just a little dot of the blue marks be gone. On the inside, an inch in, because I'm going to do inch crosshatch all the way around. And then I turned it, lined that up, made sure to center it. And if my block was a little bit off, I erred towards the center and put my inch marks, like I said, about 1/2 of an inch in. I didn't want them near this dark fabric here so that when I go to remove it with my blue line eraser, it's not going to cause any bleed here. And then again, I did the same thing up here like that and measured inch, 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 and then did the same thing over here, came into the block because of my foot, and then I did the same thing on this side, on the inside, 1/4 inch in from the edge of the block. So now all the way around, I have a dot so that I can line up all the way across. So now I'm simply going to grab my ditch ruler, and I am going to I'm still locked from where I was. Going to travel in until I line up with that first blue line. I'm going to line that up. And what I'm doing, let me switch this ruler so you can get a better visual from camera B. So what I'm doing here is I've lined up so that, of course, I'm lined up with my foot here, and it is lined up with the blue mark there. And then I'm up here, and I am a 1/4 inch away from that way from the blue line, so that I know I've got a straight line. I'm also using the straight lines here, as you can see from camera A, on the ruler itself to line up with the edge of the block, so that that way I know that I'm nice and straight. Now I'm going to go up, travel the ditch, hit my target mark, stop, line it up, and I'm checking 2 places. I am checking here, 1/4 inch away, 1/4 inch away, and I'm also checking this mark on the previous sew line. To try to avoid running into Eileen. Eileen this way or Eileen that way. Okay, line that up, same thing, and I'm going to work my way all the way over to the edge of the block. So now I have finished there. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to slide back up within that ditch, and I'm going to continue my ditch work across the top. Now, by the way, so with this particular part right now, I have my, if we can get a wide shot. Okay. So I am way back here in my throat space, and I have my machine at a nice height. This one does not have the lift on it, so it's actually kind of at a medium height for people to come and use the machine and that sort of thing that are a little shorter than myself. So one of the things that I want to say is, since I'm way back here in the throat space, it can be very hard to lean over and look on the other side of that ruler to see where to go. So what I like to do is I've gone to a resale shop, and I simply bought one of those old 90s, 80s step aerobics platforms, and I simply have that under my machine, and then when I stand on it, I'm nice and high, so now as I lean over, I can see right over the ledge, and I can follow that line. Like I said, they can cost $3, and it is well worth going to your resale shops and picking one up for underneath your machine. And you will build a muscle memory fairly quickly on how far over you can go while you're standing on your perch. Switch that like that so you get a better visual from A. Come down. Now I'm going to go on this side, I'm going to go ahead and follow that ditch all the way down, and then I'm going to come back up and do that cornerstone. Line that up and repeat this just like we did across on the left side. Come down, travel the ditch, line that up, come up, travel the ditch, Okay, so now that corner is done, and we've got a beautiful cornerstone that's straight cross-hatched, nice and even, and yet it hasn't overtaken the butterflies and the background flowers and the foliage.